Now, from CBS News Miami, this is Facing South Florida with Jim Defede.
Welcome to Facing South Florida. I'm Jim Defede. With the resignations of Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell and Republican Congressman Tony Gonzales, we are seeing a reckoning take hold in Washington that we haven't seen before, and it may not be over, as Florida Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick will likely be the next member forced out or even expelled. This week, I spoke to Florida Republican Congresswoman Paulina Luna about what we are seeing.
Look, I think that a lot of these members were, by their own admission, guilty of breaking House ethics and our rules that we conduct ourselves by. And ultimately, our grounds for expulsion, the way that it was written, was because of their own statements and actions. I know that there's a lot of accusations, obviously very horrifying accusations, and I think a criminal probe regarding Representative Swalwell, which I will continue to send any information I get to authorities. But this type of behavior can't be tolerated. I don't think that they're the only ones. As you know, there's an $18 million congressional slush fund that's been paid out since the 90s. So obviously there's a huge issue with that here on Capitol Hill. The more we find out about it, the more we're just going to say it's time to take out the trash.
You know, you've been very straightforward. You haven't played partisan politics on this. You called out Representative Gonzales early, long before even the Swalwell allegations came forward. Do you think that there is a problem, though? Clearly, you believe that there must be a deeper problem, though, within the Congress. And how do you get to that? For instance, those settlements that you were talking about.
Yeah, I think that the problem exists with people playing party politics on this. I think that basic human dignity and I think upholding the law is pretty much a no-brainer in regards to its application. And so specifically with this, I think we have to have a zero tolerance when we find out about it. If there's evidence, we have to expel. In the case with Swalwell, I was really willing to bring forward that motion, and ultimately he ended up resigning. But, you know, we can't tolerate it, so that's why I'm calling it out.
There's also some discussion now about removing or expelling Cherfilus-McCormick, Representative Cherfilus-McCormick. And I know there's some who also are talking about potentially trying to expel Corey Mills. How do you view those two cases, and where do you want to see them go?
Look, if there's evidence for wrongdoing, breaking the law and breaking House conduct or engaging in illegal activity, then that person needs to go. I frankly don't care about the party affiliation. These are all adults here. They make their decisions, and I'm not going to be expected to vote for cover. I don't work for these people's offices. So for me, I frankly don't like being associated with people, for example, like in Sheila's case, that steal $5 million in FEMA funds. We are not the same. And so for them to come up here and to have all of this mess happening, it just simply is a distraction from the work that we're all here to do. And I frankly am ready to get back to the work of the American people. And so the sooner that we can get, that type of behavior gone, the better.
So it sounds like you would vote to expel Cherfilus-McCormick. What about Representative Mills?
I think that Mills, obviously, with stuff that comes out on that, if there's grounds for expulsion, it's no love lost.
Again, I don't want to press you on this, but the governor has called or delayed the special session that was supposed to start on Monday on redistricting and push it back a week. Without trying to get too much into the politics of it, do you share the concerns that some of your fellow Republicans have had that redistricting can get into a dangerous territory where you take some safe seats and make them less safe?
Look, I've never had any inside information on redistricting. And as you know, I've run now, this will be my third reelection, but my fourth time running. And I've run in pretty much every scenario you can as far as like the political swings. So I know that for me specifically, I've always been focused on the work of the people, and I'm very popular within my district. And so I honestly don't know, but I don't feel too concerned because we have a really good grassroots campaign, and I actually have a really high amount of crossover from independents and Democrats, specifically on certain issues like lowering student loan interest, et cetera. And so for me specifically, I'm just focusing on doing my work. If people don't like me, they don't like me. But I don't think that I'll have any issues with re-election.
Real quickly, I know you have to go, but I did want to ask you about the war with Iran. How do you see this going? And are you satisfied as to where we are at this point? And what is the exit strategy for the United States?
Well, I've never heard from the president or the administration that they're going to do boots on the ground. I've also always heard that the initial timeline of 100 days was the longest that this would be expected to go. And as you're seeing, there's been now increasingly new developments within the last 48 hours, specifically on reopening the strait, et cetera. And so I think that, this is wrapping up, and I think it's wrapping up just like President Trump said it would be. I've never supported boots on the ground, though, regardless. And so I'm glad that it's not going that way, because obviously I would split with the administration on that. But again, President Trump has internal discussions, and a lot of these people that, are speculating aren't privy to the conversations. And I frankly think that right now, if President Trump really wanted to start World War III, he would have gone to war with Russia and Ukraine, and that didn't happen. His first and foremost priority and perspective has always been peace through strength and negotiating, remember, those now 8 peace deals. And so I'll continue to support him, and I think that will be done soon.
When we come back, there have been some interesting developments with the Miami Center for Mental Health. Stay with us.